She pulls away. You chase. She grows colder, and you don't know why. You're kind. You show up. You're always there. You think that's love. It's not. It only shows you have no edge, no weight, no center. Here's the truth. Respect doesn't come from what you give. It comes from what you hold back, from how you protect your boundaries, even when every part of you wants to break them. Women don't test you to punish you. They test to see if you can hold, and if you have no roots, they walk, not always with their feet. Sometimes they just disconnect. So you try harder, talk more, give more. But the more you give without limit, the more invisible you become. This video won't teach you tricks, no tactics, just truth. 5 boundaries. Enough to change how she sees you and how you see yourself. Listen closely. If it stings, good. That's where you start. Not with what you say, but with what you stop explaining. You don't need to subscribe if you want comfort. But if you want someone to tell it straight, no sugarcoating, no theater, then you know what to do. 1. Don't react to her tests. She suddenly pulls away. No messages, no questions. You feel uneasy. You want to know why. You think, what did I do wrong? Stop. This isn't a moral exam. It's not some childish game either. It's a test to see if the axis inside you shakes. Women don't test men because they enjoy it. They test because they don't want to hand their emotions to a man who can't control his own. They need to know, if things get tense, if drama comes, if conflict shows up, will you react or will you stay centered? The more you rush to react, the more you try to fix things, the more you feel the need to prove you're good, the more power you lose. What you don't realize is, a test isn't an invitation to act. It's a measurement of your steadiness. She says something harsh. You get mad. You raise your voice. She goes silent. You send 5 messages in a row. You can't handle the space. You think you're showing care. In truth, you're showing you can't handle losing control. A man who doesn't react quickly isn't cold or careless. He simply refuses to let someone else's emotions shape his self-worth. The ancients had a name for that: resilience. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Picture this. She says, you never take the lead. The usual reaction? You rush to text her, you make plans, you try to prove her wrong. But a grounded man, he observes, he feels, and he understands. That sentence isn't really about me. It's a mirror of her emotional state, not a truth about my value. So he doesn't react, not out of pride, but because he doesn't get pulled from his center. You might ask, so should I just stay silent? Isn't that being careless? You respond when you choose to respond, not because you're being led around. That's the difference between strength and instinct. Men who are tested again and again are the ones who always react. Women don't respect reactivity. They respect a calm presence that doesn't break, like a mountain. It doesn't need to roar to prove its height. It just stands in the wind. Holding your ground through small tests is how you build the foundation for something real. You don't need to win every time she gets upset. You need to hold your position through every emotional wave. So the next time you feel like you're being tested, don't react right away. Pause, observe, feel, and keep that calm like a silent weapon. Because sometimes your lack of reaction is the strongest answer you can give. And that is just the first boundary that makes a woman truly respect you. The second one, it's about something most modern men do too much and lose their magnetism because of it. Next, don't share every emotion right away. 2, don't share every feeling right away. She asks, what are you thinking? You answer instantly. You open up. You spill everything. You think you're being honest, but in truth, you've just exposed your position too early. Modern men are taught emotional openness is maturity. It's connection. It's the new masculinity. But no one tells you Opening up too soon, too often, to the wrong person, dismantles your magnetism. You think she'll appreciate it. Sometimes, maybe. But her instincts are recording something else. He needs me to process his emotions. He can't handle them on his own. And without realizing it, you fall from the role of the man she admired into the role of someone who needs saving. Women aren't drawn to chaos. They're drawn to calm control. You can feel deeply. You can wrestle with storms inside. But when you speak, it must come from awareness, not from explosion. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be numb. It teaches you to observe emotion like clouds passing in the sky. No clinging, no chasing, no confusing a passing storm for permanent truth. Angry, feel it. Don't deny it. But don't throw it at her in a heat of impulse. Because when you let your emotions make your decisions, you're no longer the one driving. "I've been there," she asked. "What's wrong?" I told her everything, hoping she'd understand, hoping to prove I was real. The result? She pulled away. Not because she didn't care, but because I no longer felt steady to her. Instead of reacting, pause, observe. Ask yourself, is this feeling real or just a reaction? If it's still there 24 hours later, then speak as a man who's understood it. Not as one still drowning in it. A grounded man shares emotions only after the noise is cleared, because he knows not every emotion needs an audience, but the ones that do must carry weight. Mystery isn't about hiding. It's about managing how deep you let someone in. She'll respect you more when she knows. You don't reveal yourself just because she asks. Not every feeling earns a spotlight, because when you hold space, when you don't rush to explain every ache, when you let her feel your depth without serving it on a plate, you stop being the predictable guy. You become the man she can't quite figure out. And attraction doesn't come from showing everything. It comes from what you choose not to say. Holding emotion back isn't hiding. It's forging, filtering, sharpening. Like steel in fire, emotion needs to pass through clarity before it earns form. So the next time you feel the urge to spill it all, ask yourself, am I trying to connect or am I craving comfort? You don't need to speak right away. You need to choose the right moment. That's how your emotion becomes a weapon, not a weakness. And that is the second boundary women always feel, even when you say nothing at all. The third boundary is what causes most men to lose their edge. For one simple reason, she pulls away and he chases. 3, don't chase. When she pulls away, she goes cold, stops texting, stops checking in. She's not like before anymore. You feel something slipping, and that scares you. So you chase, you text more, you reach harder, you do everything just to bring her back. You think that's how you hold on to a woman. I used to think the same. Clearly, she pulled away. I panicked. I sent 3 messages, no reply. I sent more. I called. I said things I'd never said before. Not because I meant them, but because I was afraid that silence might kill something. But silence didn't kill me. Losing myself, that's what did. Women don't test you with words. They test you with distance. When she pulls back, she's not just watching what you do. She's watching who you are. When you're no longer being needed, men react. A man with a center responds. When you react, you act from fear, not from clarity, not from choice, but from your need to not be left behind. And the more you chase, the clearer it becomes. You need her, more than you need to stay grounded in yourself. The more you prove your love, the more you reveal your insecurity. Attraction doesn't survive in fear. Picture this. You're rowing a boat. She jumps into the water. You dive in after her, trying to pull her back. But now both of you are in the water. No one is rowing. You both start to sink. A man with a center doesn't jump. He holds the direction. He doesn't panic. He doesn't pull. He simply watches. And if she wants to return, she will swim back. The difference is this. You don't need to chase to prove love. You need to stand firm to prove worth. Maybe you're thinking, I don't want to lose her. But you don't lose her when she walks away. You lose when you become someone else just to make her stay. Next time she pulls away, don't chase, don't panic, don't try to fix it. Stay still, like a mountain. No calls, no pleading, no proving. She comes back? Good. She doesn't? You still have you, and that weighs more than anything. Because a man with a center never runs after someone who's turning their back on his stillness. And to hold on to that stillness, you need something even deeper. You must be the first to define your own worth. No one else. 4. Don't let others define your worth. There's a type of man who waits to be seen, hoping someone else will validate his worth. She compliments him. He feels confident. She grows distant. He starts questioning himself. A few likes, he smiles. Left on read, he goes quiet. Criticized, he asks, what do I need to change to be more lovable? What he doesn't see is that he's living through the eyes of others and calling it connection. I've been there. I once changed my voice because she said it sounded too dry. I changed my hairstyle because she liked the bad boy look. I rewrote my dating profile just to fit the kind of guy she reposted on her stories. And I told myself, I was growing. I was being flexible. I was giving. The truth? I was bending myself into who I thought they wanted, and in the end, she still left. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because I was no longer me. Every time you let others define your worth, you place your soul on the scale of someone else's expectations. So ask yourself, do you want to be a mirror or a stone? Mirrors reflect, stones shape. A man with a spine doesn't need to be called valuable. He acts on the values he chooses, without asking permission. Real worth doesn't come from feedback. It comes from asking, did I act in alignment with the man I want to be? No praise needed, no applause required. You need just one thing, to stay true to what you believe in, even when no one claps for you. Do you remain respectful when others are rude? Do you keep your word when others forget theirs? Do you say no when you're scared they'll hate you for it? That's value. It doesn't live in someone else's mouth. It lives in your spine. Let's say 3 people keep telling you, you're too cold, you're boring, you're distant. You can change the way you speak, act, even smile. But in the end, you're no longer you. You're a version sculpted by too many voices. And the irony is, even after you shape yourself into what they say they want, they still might leave. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. Strength doesn't come from out there. It comes from within. If you have the courage to look inward, you don't need to be valuable to everyone. You just need to not be cheap to yourself. When you stand on your axis, some people will be drawn to you. Others will walk away. Both are fine, because you no longer need anyone to be yourself. You don't reflect, you define, you don't please, you choose. A man with an axis doesn't need praise, doesn't need a group nodding along. He needs only one thing, to not betray himself. And when you stop betraying yourself, people start respecting you without a single word. But many men, even when they know this, still make one final mistake. They think they need permission to be respected. 5. You don't ask for respect. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something others feel when you don't need them to feel it. But modern men are confused. They believe if they're kind enough, attentive enough, understanding enough, they'll be accepted, they'll be loved, they'll be respected. So they soften, they fold, they smooth out every edge just to avoid discomfort. Have you ever done that? Have you stayed silent when you should have spoken, just to avoid being judged? Have you forced a smile at something disrespectful, just to keep the peace? I have, more than once. I've agreed to plans I didn't want, accepted invites that didn't feel right, laughed off words that made me feel small, because I thought, if I'm pleasant enough, maybe they'll like me. But the truth? People don't value you because you're easy. They just find it easier to walk over you. The longer you wait for permission to stand tall, the weaker you become. A man with a center doesn't wait for a green light to set boundaries. He doesn't ask before protecting his peace. He doesn't need approval to say no, because true respect doesn't come from being liked. It comes from refusing to let anyone define you except you. Think back for a second. Who's the person you respect most? It's not the one who pleases everyone, not the one who always plays nice. It's the one who knows when to say enough, when to walk away, when to stay silent without apologizing for it. Respect begins when you live by the standards you set for yourself. No one else can draw that line for you. Epictetus once wrote, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." And yet you give that consent. Every time you nod at what you don't believe, laugh at what you don't accept, and pretend to be okay with what's shrinking you. You don't need to raise your voice to reclaim your worth. You just need to stop trading it for acceptance. Say a clear no. Step away from a toxic conversation. Don't reply to texts when you crave silence. Don't explain yourself to those who don't want to understand. None of that requires permission. It only requires a decision. Respect doesn't come from their eyes, it comes from your spine. When they look at you like you're the problem, they will test you. They won't agree with you. They'll call you distant, cold, different. And that's when you'll know whether they respect you for who you are or only liked you when you acted like them. Don't choose to be liked. Choose to be defined. Because if you have to ask for respect, you never really had it. But there's a deeper cost, a price many men are paying every time they reveal too much too soon. Not because they're hiding something, but because mystery is part of your magnetism. You might have watched every video in this series, heard about boundaries, about pillars, about truths most people don't say out loud. And somewhere in there, you saw yourself, in the test, in the chasing, in the trying too hard just to be understood. You don't need to feel ashamed of that. You only need to understand one thing. Awareness doesn't start by avoiding mistakes. It begins the moment you look straight at them and don't turn away. Respect, attraction, stillness, worth. None of these are surface-level skills. They don't come from something you memorize. They come from how you live when no one's watching. That's why Stoicism still survives today. It's not a philosophy to casually read. It's a way of living, alone, clear, and radically accountable. You don't need anyone to get you. You only need enough silence to hear yourself. And sometimes, from that silence, magnetism begins to rise. Quiet, but undeniable. Change doesn't need to be announced. It needs to be repeated, daily, in silence, in action, in how you stand, even when no one's looking. If you've made it this far, if you're still here, take it as a signal, not from me, not from some system, but from you to you. A reminder, you don't need to become someone else. You just need to return to the man with a center. And if something I said here stirred something in you, hold on to it, reflect, apply, or pass it on to someone who needs it. No likes, no comments, no applause. Just live differently, starting today. And if you ever need more, not for entertainment, but because deep down, you still remember the man you're meant to become, then you know where to find me. If you're on the path to becoming a man with a center, let the next video be the part you choose to walk further. I'll be there, not ahead, not behind, but right beside you, like a mirror, not to reflect you, but to help you see yourself more clearly. See you soon.